damn joy, leave me to bleed. Why take from me what I most need? Show me what I cannot see. Is it them or is it me? Is it the world or my own heart's there? Search me, God, lay it bare. Let me through where I start.
Episode 6. The Crack in the Accusation. Part 2. Overview. The Turn. Something happens when you've been angry long enough. Not that the anger goes away, not that the pain underneath it resolves, not that the questions get answered, or the arms stop aching, or the hearth suddenly lights itself. None of that. The wound is still the wound. The lack is still the lack. But somewhere in the long carrying of it, somewhere in the exhaustion of holding the accusation up, of measuring yourself against everyone around you, of asking, why not me, until the question has worn a groove in you, something shifts. A crack forms in the accusation itself, and through that crack, a different question starts to come in. Not a comfortable one, not a welcome one. In some ways, a harder one than, why did you do this to me? Because at least that question kept the problem outside. At least that question had a clear direction. The pain was out there. The injustice was out there. The one who should have given and didn't was out there. And here comes this new question, uninvited, working its way through the crack in the anger. Is it them, or is it me? I want to be honest with you about what that question costs, because I think we can romanticize this moment too easily. We look at it from the other side, from the resolution side, from the having been through it side, and we call it growth. We call it maturity. We call it the moment faith began to do its real work. And those things are true, but from the inside, in the moment, it doesn't feel like any of that. It feels like the last defense giving way. It feels like the one thing that was holding the pain in a manageable shape, the clarity of who was responsible, the clean line between their fullness and my emptiness, starting to come apart. Because if envy is not just a reasonable response to injustice, but something that has taken root in me and is shaping the way I see everything, then the work is not out there. It's in here. And in here is a much harder place to operate. This is one of the hardest parts of the whole journey. I'd go further than that. This is the part many of us never get past. Not because the crack doesn't come, it comes, but because of what comes with it. Because when the crack opens and grace starts to work its way through, it doesn't immediately fill the space with something better. It doesn't hand you the thing you were asking for. What it does first, before anything else, is ask you to let go of the thing you were holding. And that is terrifying. God doesn't always lead with what will fill us. Sometimes he leads with what has to be released first. And the conversation goes something like this. You feel the grip starting to loosen. You feel the accusation starting to lose its shape. And something in you reaches back toward God and asks, but what then? If I let go of this, if I stop holding the case together, stop measuring, stop keeping score, what fills the space? And God says, I said, let it go. Not yet filling it, not yet explaining, just let it go. The thing you've been gripping, the comparison, the account you've been keeping of what they have and what you don't, the pride that turned pain into a deserving, the anger that at least gave the ache a direction. let it go. And we ask again, but how? Because that is the real question. Not whether we should. We know we should. The question is how. How do you unclench something that has been clenched for years? How do you release something that has become so much a part of the way you see yourself and the world that releasing it feels like releasing something structural, like pulling a load-bearing wall and hoping the house doesn't come down? I don't have an answer that fits every time. I'm not sure anyone does. But I know this: inside of that impossibility, God does something. Something I can't fully explain and won't try to explain away. The Spirit working in us, changing us from the inside in ways we didn't manufacture and couldn't have produced on our own. Because the hunger is still there. Let me be clear about that. The hunger is still real. The want is still real. I'm not going to stand here and tell you that surrender makes the longing disappear, because that has not been my experience, and I don't think it's yours either. But things start to change. Slowly, without announcement. Not the circumstances, not always, not immediately, but something interior. The grip on the pain begins to shift. The measuring starts to lose its hold. The dark that felt purely like abandonment begins to feel, faintly, like something else. Like a place where something is happening that couldn't happen in the light. Like quiet hands that are doing something in the waiting that the waiting felt too empty to contain. The hunger stays, the lack stays, but peace, fragile, early, not yet fully formed, begins to find room inside of it. And I want to be honest that this peace is not the absence of pain. It is not the answer to every question. It is not the filled hearth, or the full arms, or the dream that ran past finally coming back. Sometimes those things come, sometimes they don't. Some losses don't resolve in this life. Some things we will not have this side of eternity, and the truth of that needs to be said plainly and without softening. But here is what I know. Here is the thing that part 2 of this song is really about. Underneath all the images and the quiet and the strange new relationship with the darkness, God stays. When the crack opens, when the grace starts burning through, when the letting go feels impossible and the filling hasn't come yet, and the hunger is still real and the peace is barely there, God stays. Not as a resolution, not as an explanation, just present. In the dark, in the hunger, in the space between the releasing and the receiving. That is what the turn is. Not triumph, not arrival, just the first, fragile, costly recognition that the one you were accusing is still there, still present, still doing something you can't yet see, and still asking you, gently, patiently, with a love that does not require your composure before it will stay, let it go.